Hi everyone. Looks like it's about 9:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name's Tom Levine. I'm Cornerstone's tech guru. Today we're going to be covering how to use a few different web browsers and what makes each unique, special, and why you would use them. First, just a few bookkeeping things. Under Cornerstone Resources here on our main page, you can gain access to our Resource Center, which gives you access to the Cornerstone white papers and a few other really cool things. We have all different folders under here, all of which are free and easy to access. But if you go to 2019 webinar series, you can actually access all of our webinars, from the individual corner to the Build Your Brand and this Tech Tuesday podcast. Additionally, you could also register for our cruise for 2020. Any product sold, I believe, between January 1st of this year and the last day of this year qualifies. And for more information on that, you can go under our page here, cornerstone.com/cruise 2020 and register. So without further ado, let's get started. Today we're going to be covering Safari, Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, and Firefox. And we're going to start with Safari. I actually had to install an older version of Safari on this desktop because it's operating on Windows 7. As you can see, it gives this little pop-up if it's not your default browser, asking you every time you log in. And that's the same for most web browsers that you'll download. Not Google, but Safari is actually a very wonderful web browser if you're just looking to do very basic things. It has a few different options in the newer ones, but we're going to walk through the menus and all of the different things that go on in Safari real quick. This drop-down gear displays a menu of general Safari settings. You can customize your toolbar, which is this little bar down here underneath the web browser, the little bar up there. Then you can also show your menu bar and hide your menu bar using this setting. You can show tabs, your status of Safari, your reading list, which is basically like a saved panes. And you can also access your browsing history, downloads, and private browsing here. Private browsing is just generally sort of like the private windows used in basically every web browser nowadays. You can also reset its settings by clicking on that, and you can block pop-ups as well. You have a Google search bar up over here, and you have your normal web browser bar here to access file locations. You also have all your standard different menu items up here, like file, new window, edits, view different types of views, zoom in and zoom out on a web page using the view, your history, your bookmarks, window help. All of those are available up at the top tab as well. These over here are how you would navigate between pages. If I go to Cornerstone's website, www.crnstone.com, it'll load pretty quick typically, but it can't actually establish a connection to the server in this older version of Safari. If I wanted to go back, I would click back, and it would take me to the main page. I click the reading pane over here, and it helps me collect web pages. This is, in my opinion, one of the most useful add-ons of Safari. In a few different other web browsers, it's difficult to really look through what you've saved as far as pages go. But in this reading pane, it's very easy. I just click Add Page, and it adds the page that I'm on. Clear All to clear my reading list. And then I can just quick click on all of the links that I saved to jump to them. I can also open my collections bar over here, which is the history of what I've accessed in Safari, as well as the Safari top sites over here. That's generally how you would use Safari. Safari is just sort of the basic web browser used in Mac operating systems. And it's a little more advanced than what I've shown you now, just because things change over time. This was actually Safari version 5.4, I think, and the most updated version might have been 10. Then we also have Internet Explorer, which is the base browser used on Windows PCs. Although in modern Windows PCs, it's Microsoft Edge, it's about the same thing. So we're going to hit OK for now. and let it load. As you can see, it's loading very slowly, which is the general downside to using Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge. This is a slightly older version as well, but it'll do for showing you what I'm trying to look at. As you can see, it glitched a little bit. There are two different browser bars here at the top, and that's supposed to be your shortcut toolbar. But because this is an older version of Internet Explorer as well, it glitched a little bit. You have tabs up here. You can click there to open new ones. And there we go. It's a little bit fixed. This is actually the HP bar. And I'm going to go ahead and disable it just to show you this. This is generally how it'll look when you open things in Microsoft. If you click the drop down here, you can access recent websites. You can use the search bar over here to search in Bing. Hit home to jump to your home page. This star button functions as the read function in Safari. If I click this button, it'll get favorited. If I right-click the favorites, then I get access to the menu bar, favorites command, all of those different options. They're just different command bars that'll let you jump around a bit. If I click on the gear here, unlike in Safari where it gave me all of my options, this gear in Microsoft Internet Explorer gives me access to print, general file, zooms. Other than that, I can add it to my start menu. I can view my active downloads and manage my add-ons that I choose to add into Internet Explorer. And we'll get to add-ons in a moment when we cover Chrome. Then I can also pin a site, which is a little bit different than favorites. Pin sites and favorited sites are just two different sides of the same coin. They both let you save the web page, but a favorites lets you say it's a favorite. A pin site just sort of pins it to your taskbar, so you can jump to it quickly. You can also view advanced settings through the options below. The reason that I don't recommend you use either Safari or Internet Explorer is because Safari is actually a very bare bones browser. It only lets you do very basic things like what we've covered recently, and it doesn't really have much power to it. So if you open a lot of tabs, it tends to crash, and that's the same with Microsoft Internet Explorer and Windows Edge. It's just a little difficult to operate in multiple tabs. It's very slow. Actually, in Internet Explorer, you'll be able to access several tabs. The problem with it is because it can do a lot more than Safari and it's not well laid out in the code, it tends to be very, very slow. So I don't recommend using either of these. Then we get to our main two, which I'm certain most of you were interested in coming to hear about. We've got Google Chrome and we've got Firefox. I'm going to start with Chrome and then get to Firefox, but these two are really the main windows or the main Internet Explorers that I would use. They're web browsers. As you can see, I clicked on Google Chrome and it opened up pretty quick. I've got access to the apps bar over here, and this will show some frequently used apps as well. I've got access to the search bar up here, which functions dually. So I can search here and I can search Google. I can type in a web address and I'll jump to the web address. I can type in www.crnstone.com, just to show you how quickly it loads. And it'll load a little bit slowly because of my internet connection here, but it was pretty decent. One of the other benefits that you don't get using any other browser but Chrome, if you click there on the icon, it'll let you sync your Chrome across devices. What that means is if you log in to your Google Chrome here and log in as with your Google account, then it'll save all your searches, jump them across devices anytime you use Chrome on any device. Chrome is usable on any sort of smartphone as well, and I actually use Chrome on my smartphone because it's a very good browser for mobile devices. You can turn on sync there, and that'll just make you log into your account. You can save your passwords and payment methods as well, and open a guest window. The way you access your main menu is by clicking on these three dots. It'll allow you to open a new tab, open a new window, or open incognito windows. And you can also click on this little start button here, this plus, to get a new window as well. Forward and back are similar to Safari. I'm going to hit back here, and then I can actually reload the page quickly by pressing that reload button. Additionally, there are some other advanced options. If I click on apps, it'll jump me to the App Store for Chrome. This is one of the most useful parts of Chrome, and it's very easy to do this in Chrome, is add add-ons. You can add things like ad block, which will block any sort of ad from showing on your web browsing. You can also use Grammarly, which will basically be a spell checker, and it'll be a more advanced spell checker. You can check through all these extensions. You can change your theme even, so you can easily change the settings or the way that it looks. Like this black red shards or some of the other layout options. The extensions, however, are really what's most useful. You can narrow them to things that run offline. You can narrow them to things that only work with Google. You can access free features, and you can even access apps available for Android, which is very easy if you're using Google Chrome on a mobile device. Additionally, I know I'm moving very quickly. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the questions bar or send me an email at tlevine@crnstone.com at the end of the presentation. I recommend Google Chrome if you're using a lot of Google, but there is a drawback to it, and that is security. A lot of people think that if they even run in like an incognito browser, Google won't collect data on them just using the store or using Google Chrome, and that is false. Google collects a lot of your browsing data, and they can keep it, they can sell it, they can do whatever they want with it, really, more than just using internet tracking cookies. Cookies are generally how websites track exactly what you're accessing through your browser. But with Google Chrome, it's a little different. As long as you're signed in, they can access all of your browsing history, all of what you've been browsing, even if you clear it. There's no real quote-unquote secure way to do private browsing using Google Chrome. And that's just the way it is. That's really the trade-off with using Chrome over any other browser. Lastly, we get to Firefox. Firefox is actually the browser that is recommended by our IT service at Cornerstone, and it's also the web browser that I personally prefer to use. It lets you access any sort of site you want and use pretty much any add-on you want as well. It can proxy into the Google App Store, and you can download Google Apps and use them on Firefox. Easy enough. The layout is a little bit different, so I'm going to run through some of the basics here. Reload, backward, forward, same thing as in Google Chrome. But if I hit home, then it just jumps to the home page as well. I can search Google using the bar up above the browser bar, same as I could in Chrome. I just go to www.crnstone.com right here. It'll jump me to Cornerstone. I can also search Cornerstone in the bar up above, and it'll just auto search Google for me, which is really neat. You also get this search bar up here, but it's a little more advanced. If you want to change the search bar for what you're searching, you can search with Bing, Amazon, Wikipedia, whatever you want, just by clicking that drop down up above. Additionally, I can click on this over here, and it'll let me access my bookmarks. I can view my pocket list, which is just my recent saved documents. I can access my entire history, the downloads that I've had on this web browser, and any other synced tabs, as well as log in and get a Firefox account if I so choose. The best part about Firefox, though, is you don't have to have a Firefox account to use all its services. Also, I can access my bookmarks just by clicking on the sidebar. I can change through anything here, sidebar of my history, the synced tabs, easy enough. And then I hit close to close the sidebar. Also, I'm going to walk through a little bit more of the drop-down options. I have access to my library here, logins and password saving, private windows, new windows, um, syncing content, as well as advanced options. And if I click on options, I'm just going to show you this one because it's a little bit different than all the other browsers. As you can see, when I click on options, I have access to general, home, search, privacy and security, and sync. Through the general options, I can change some of the startup sessions. I could choose to restore a previous session when I open it up. So I can just click on the Firefox logo and it will open up to the last page I was on. Additionally, I can use Control Tab to cycle through tabs if I choose, open lists of new tabs, show previous tabs and windows in the taskbar. I can change even the font that everything is displayed in, as well as the size of that font using the language and appearance settings below. I could also just change the base language from here as well, and change the default save area for saved applications. Currently it's downloads, but if I wanted to change that, I could click on Browse and just easily save where I'm or change where I'm saving it by going to that file location and hitting Select Folder. I could also have it always ask where I want to save files, which is what I tend to prefer, but to each their own. Additionally, it will show me different applications that Firefox handles. PDF is the one that I have currently installed, but you can also link a bunch of other applications through this as well. You can check for updates very easily from the general settings area, and you can even have it recommend performance changes, as well as changes to auto-scrolling, smoothing text, and general settings and configurations. If I click on Home, I get all of the home website options and all of the general home content options. And if I click on search, I can change the way I'm displaying my search bars up above here, including the web browsing bar. And I can change my default search engine as well. I could also do one-click searches, which are just quick searches. If I click on a word, it'll auto search. And lastly, privacy and security settings. This is really the most advanced part of Firefox, and it's the part that I enjoy. I can immediately block third-party content that'll track me. I could also do standard blocking, which only blocks known trackers and private windows, strict blocking, which blocks everything, or I could customize it by clicking on this drop-down. I can choose to block trackers, which is what I have set. I could also choose to block fingerprint tracking, crypto miners, which is a very good option now if you're trying to browse through cryptocurrencies, as well as using cookies. I can also choose to block trackers only in private windows or in all windows as well. I can send websites a do not track signal through this option very easily, and I can change cookie data here. I can also choose to add exceptions to saving logins and passwords or use a master password just through Firefox. What that means is I can just set one password and automatically Firefox will autofill that password on every website. That's not very secure, so I don't use it, but it's an option if you want to just make it very quick. Additionally, you can also have Firefox remember your history or not, as well as clear your history very easily. And those history settings do not get sent to Firefox. So it's not like Google where they'll still have access of everything you've had. You can also change permissions through Firefox. So you could change it so it doesn't have access to your location, your camera, your microphone, your notifications. It won't push. Everything you can do through these settings here. And you can also sync if you have an account and want to sync it across devices, if you so choose. Lastly, if we hit the extensions and theme here, this brings us to the Firefox extension area. These are different add-ons you can add and different things you can add in to make your browsing a little bit better. Same thing that you would get in Google Chrome. And it's important that I mention, if you're really attached to Google Chrome and you like what you've seen about Firefox so far, you can actually do an add-on that is the Google Chrome store and access all the same apps and extensions that you would through Google Chrome. Additionally, if I click on extensions here, you can see I don't have any add-ons installed here. I could also change the theme the same way I would with Google. and I can change any plugins. I need to update my Flash over here, but we'll do that a bit later. If I click on the Find More Add-ins here, I'm led to the full Firefox add-in and extension area. These show a lot of different options. As you can see, I still have ad blocker. I can add in an updated bookmarks bar. I could do web ad mail blocker. The YouTube control center, if you upload a lot to YouTube, is very useful. And you can also do the tab notifier. And what that lets you do is it just lets you see a lot of different tabs that you have. You could also download Treed View for your tabs as well as an option, which instead of having all of your tabs up here in your bar, it's more of a tiered thing on the side. It'll show you where your tabs are, what they're running, and how you can customize and stop those programs from working. That's generally all of the web browsers I would recommend, but there are a few others that I want to mention. Opera specifically is a very good one, but that's really not used by many people. There are a few other ones as well that if you have any questions on, feel free to email me. My email address is tlevine@crnstone.com, or feel free to contact me using that email, or just call into the Cornerstone hotline and then they'll forward you on to me. Unfortunately, I'm not in the office today, so I won't be able to answer any of your email questions at this time, but I would be happy to answer any other questions you have in the chat right now. I'll be on for the next few minutes, so if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Thank you. Looks like we do have one. Give me 1 second to get it a little bit more full. All right, we do have several questions in here. Times my Chrome browser. Okay, so we actually have a very good question from Carl, and it's saying that sometimes sound won't work on one of their browsers. Additionally, sometimes logins won't work on some of the browsers, and with Internet Explorer specifically, it won't let you access certain websites. And the reason for that is compatibility. A lot of websites are customized to work very well in browsers like Chrome or Firefox, which have very little tracking involved in them, except for Chrome, and they are very lightweight and very high processing power. Internet Explorer doesn't really have that, and neither does Safari to a limited extent. So sometimes you won't be able to access site content because they're not compatible. There's not really much that can be done in this case, and that's part of why I don't recommend using Internet Explorer. My biggest piece of advice: use Firefox or Google Chrome. That'll fix all of your problems that you're having. If you like Internet Explorer, though, then feel free to use it for any other thing. But there's not really much more that can be done when doing that, and that's just a issue with compatibility between Chrome and everything else. Or not Chrome, I apologize, Internet Explorer. As far as the sound goes, that's probably a plugin that isn't installed into your internet, but I'd have to take a little bit of a closer look to really determine that. I have another question here that I think is actually pretty good from a Kathy, saying, I missed the technical name of an ad blocker, and that's because there are a lot of different ad blockers that you can choose from. If you're in Google Chrome, just type ad block into the bar for add-ons and extensions, and it'll be the first one that pops up. I know that. As far as Firefox goes, if you go to the Firefox settings and just click on ad blocker, you'll be able to get there immediately. We have another question from a Jeff saying that when you're in Google Chrome, is Google the only search engine available? And that is actually not correct. You can access any search engine, and just to show you real quick, I'll open up Google Chrome and take you to Bing. It's just that if you're typing in the search bar up here, it'll autofill to Google. So if I search Bing, then it'll give me the link to Bing. And if I click on Bing, then I'm on Bing here and I can search Bing very easily. It's just that you have to kind of go through those settings. I believe you can also actually change the default search in Google Chrome as well, but it'll give you a lot of options saying please don't. All right. Then why do all companies seem to use Internet Explorer format since it's not supported anymore? That's because a lot of people still use it. Internet Explorer is kind of what we have base installed in anything prior to Windows 10 or certain versions of Windows 8. This computer is actually running on Windows 7, and a lot of private users haven't upgraded yet because 7 provided such a good experience. So they are customized to work technically in Internet Explorer, but most websites that are set to operate in Internet Explorer have other options to operate within Windows as far as Microsoft Edge goes. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions in the questions bar, but if you have any others, please feel free to email me and let me know. Also, the question about the ad blocker name. If you have any sort of questions about ad blockers, feel free to send me an email and I'd answer them a little more in full. I know there are a few different ad blockers, like I said, so if you'd like a different recommendation on one or something like that, I'd be happy to let you know via email. All right, we've got another one. What is the best antivirus? That's really a difficult question to answer. Different antivirus software gives you a little bit better options through different things. The only thing I will say is do not download McAfee. McAfee is technically security, but it's very, very difficult to uninstall. It operates on your computer almost in the same way that a virus would, and it's really difficult to use. If it'll search your computer for free, but as far as uninstalling, malicious content, you're going to have to pay for it to do that, and it's generally not very useful. If you're running on a Windows PC, Windows Defender is very useful, and that's free with what you're running. If you're running on a Mac, I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to do a little bit more research. And yeah, Windows Defender is pretty okay. So it's generally what I would recommend using just for your base whatever software you're trying to use for security. I've always used Windows Defender and I've never had a real problem with it. The only issue might be if I choose to download personally any sort of wrong file type and I ignore any security prompts. Microsoft Essentials. I actually haven't had much experience in Microsoft Essentials, unfortunately. I'd like to do a little bit more research and talk to you a little bit more about that, though, Peggy. So expect an email from me in the future. Oh, also, if you'd like me to CC you or send you a separate email on the Microsoft Essentials, please send me an email and I'll let you know the results of my research as well. Just another reminder on that. I am out of the office today, so I won't be able to answer any of your emails today, but I will do my best to get to it tomorrow or on Thursday. You'll definitely have a response from me by the end of the day Thursday. All right, I'm going to be in here for about 10 more seconds, or probably actually 1 more minute. If you have any other questions, please feel free to type them in that question box. All right, I think that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the presentation. If you had a question that you didn't get to me, like I said, please feel free to send me an email at tlevine@crnstone.com, and I will get back to you within the next 2 days. Thank you and have a wonderful day.